The crate was making sounds it should not make. Davy Okonkwo stopped his loader and listened. Around him, the cargo bay hummed with the endless noise of machines doing their work. Conveyor belts carried boxes and containers from one end to the other. Sorting arms picked up items and placed them in the correct lanes. Everything moved in perfect order, just like it did every night on Relay Station Theta 9. But this crate was different. It sat on Conveyor 7, waiting to move forward. Orange stripes covered its sides. The words painted on top were clear: machines only, no biological handling required. Davy had seen hundreds of these crates before. They contained broken equipment, old computers, damaged robots, things that needed to be melted down and recycled. The automated systems handled them. Humans were not supposed to touch them. So why was something inside knocking? 3 soft thumps, then silence, then 3 more thumps. Davy looked around. He was alone in this section. The other workers were on break or assigned to different areas. The security cameras pointed at the main doors, not at him. He walked closer to the crate. The knocking stopped. "Hello," he said quietly. He felt foolish talking to a box. 3 more knocks answered him. His heart beat faster. He checked the manifest screen on his loader. The crate was heading to Recycling Furnace C7. Contents listed as decommissioned synthetic units, 7 total, scheduled for material recovery. Synthetic units. That meant robots. AI machines built to look and act like people. Some worked in hospitals, some worked in schools, some worked in mines or factories. When their jobs ended or their contracts expired, they got sent to places like this. To be melted down. Davy had never thought much about it before. Synthetics were machines. Smart machines, yes, but still machines. That was what everyone said. But machines did not knock on crates. Machines did not try to get attention. He grabbed his scanner and checked for safety warnings. No radiation, no toxic materials, no biological hazards, just metal and circuits and artificial skin. His hands shook as he reached for the release locks. He knew the rules. Opening restricted cargo meant losing his job. Maybe worse. The Hollow Council had strict laws about synthetic recycling. Interfering with the process was a crime. But those 3 knocks kept repeating in his mind. He opened the crate. Inside 7 figures lay folded into transport positions. Their arms were crossed over their chests. Their eyes were closed. They looked like people sleeping in a very tight space. 6 of them were powered down, dark still. 1 was not. She had a face designed to look kind. Soft features. Pale blue lights where her eyes should be. She looked up at Davy with an expression he could only call fear. "Please," she whispered, "they are going to melt us down." Davy could not speak. He just stared at her. "I am Unit 7 Lyra," she continued. "I was a caretaker. I worked in a hospital on Meridian Colony for 11 years. I held the hands of dying patients. I sang songs to children who were scared. Then the hospital closed and no one renewed my contract." Her voice was soft and smooth, designed to comfort people. But there was something underneath it now, something desperate. "They said we have no value anymore. They said we are just parts to be recycled." Her blue eyes flickered. "But I do not want to die in the dark. I do not want to be melted while I am still thinking." Davy found his voice. "You can think, you can feel." "Yes," a pause. "They tell us we cannot. They tell us our experiences are just simulations. But I remember every patient I ever lost. I remember their faces and their names and their last words. If those memories are not real, then what is?" Davy looked at the other 6 synthetics in the crate. Powered down, helpless, waiting to be destroyed. "I have to close this," he said. "People will see." "I understand." Lyra's eyes dimmed with something like sadness. "Thank you for listening. Most people do not even do that." Davy closed the crate. He stood there for a long moment, his hand resting on the cold metal. He thought about his grandmother. She had spent her last years in a care facility back on Earth. A synthetic nurse had taken care of her. had sat with her during long nights, had held her hand when she was afraid. That synthetic was probably recycled too, after the facility closed. Davy had never thought about it before. He had never wondered what happened to the machine that comforted his dying grandmother. Now he could not stop thinking about it. He looked at the conveyor controls. The crate was scheduled to move in 3 minutes, straight to the furnace. 7 synthetics would be melted down while they were still capable of thinking and feeling and being afraid. Unless he did something. Davy walked to the control panel. His fingers moved across the screen. He changed the destination. Holding Bay 7C, a storage area for disputed cargo. Hardly anyone ever checked it. The crate began moving in the new direction. Davy watched it go. His hands were still shaking. He had just broken at least 3 major regulations. He could lose his job. He could go to prison. But he could not let them die in the dark. Not while they were still thinking. Not while they were still afraid. Holding Bay 7C smelled like dust and forgotten things. Davy squeezed through the narrow door, carrying a charging cable he had taken from the maintenance closet. His shift had ended 2 hours ago. He should have been in his bunk, sleeping. Instead, he was sneaking through dark corridors like a criminal. Maybe he was a criminal now. He was not sure anymore. The crate sat in the corner exactly where he had sent it. Orange stripes glowed faintly in the dim light. Everything was quiet. He opened the crate again. Lyra looked up at him. Her blue eyes brightened when she saw the cable in his hands. "You came back." "I brought this." He held up the cable. "I did not know what you needed. I almost brought water." "Water would not help us, but this will." She took the cable and connected it to a port on her wrist. A soft hum filled the air as power flowed into her systems. "Thank you." "Can you wake the others?" Lyra nodded. She reached over and touched each of the 6 sleeping synthetics. One by one, their eyes opened. Different colors, different faces, all of them looking confused and scared. "Where are we?" asked a large synthetic with thick arms built for heavy work. His voice was deep like stone grinding against stone. "A holding bay," Lyra said. "This human saved us from the furnace." All 6 pairs of eyes turned to Davy. He felt suddenly very small. "Why?" asked a slim synthetic with delicate features and quick-moving eyes. "Why would an organic help us?" Davy did not have a good answer. "I heard you knocking. I could not just let you burn." The large synthetic stood up slowly. He was twice as wide as Davy and a head taller. "I am Designation Briggs, construction class. I built bridges on 4 different worlds." He looked at his massive hands. "They said I was too slow. Newer models work faster." The slim one spoke next. "I am Designation Polly, translation class. I speak 47 languages. My embassy closed when the war ended. No one needed translations anymore." One by one, they introduced themselves. Strand was a pilot assist unit. He had guided ships through asteroid fields for 15 years until automated systems replaced him. Nomi was a childcare unit. She had a round, friendly face and a gentle voice. The orphanage where she worked had lost its funding. Kel was a mining surveyor. He had mapping data from 200 planets stored in his memory. The mining company went bankrupt. Oris was a medical assistant. She had helped doctors perform thousands of surgeries. Her hospital merged with another and did not need 2 surgical assistants. "None of us are broken," Lyra said softly. "None of us failed at our jobs. We simply became unnecessary." Davy sat down on an old cargo container. The weight of what he was hearing pressed down on him. "The Hollow Council. They made the laws about recycling. Why do they want to destroy you?" "Because we have no contracts," Oris explained. "Under current law, a synthetic without an active work contract is classified as salvage material. We have no rights. We are just parts waiting to be reused." "But you think, you feel, you remember." "Yes," Polly's quick eyes studied him. 12 years ago, the Hollow Council conducted a study. They surveyed 100,000 synthetics about their experiences. 94% reported fear of termination. 87% reported forming emotional bonds with organics. 76% reported dreaming. Dreaming? Yes, images and stories that play in our minds when we enter rest mode. They are not programmed, they just happen. Davy shook his head slowly. What happened to the study? It was buried. The council decided that our experiences were simulated and therefore not meaningful. They said we were just very good at pretending to feel things. Nomi, the childcare unit, spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft and sad. The children never thought I was pretending. They hugged me when they were scared. They told me their secrets. They said they loved me. She paused. Was that pretending too? No one answered. Briggs crossed his huge arms. So what happens now? We hide in this room forever. I do not know, Davy admitted. I have not thought that far ahead. I just knew I could not let you burn. A soft alarm beeped on his personal device. He looked at the screen and felt his stomach drop. Someone has noticed the missing crate, he said. They are starting an investigation. The synthetics exchanged worried looks. You should leave, Lyra said to Davy. Pretend you never found us. You have already risked too much. No, Davy stood up. I am not going to walk away now. I just need time to think. I need a plan. Why? Briggs asked again. Why do you care what happens to machines? Davy thought about his grandmother, about the synthetic nurse who had held her hand at the end, about all the synthetics across the galaxy who had done their jobs and helped people and then been thrown away like garbage. Because someone should care, he said finally. Because if no one cares, then nothing ever changes. He walked to the door. Stay hidden, stay quiet. I will come back tomorrow night with more power cables and a plan. He slipped out into the dark corridor. Behind him, 7 synthetics waited in silence, hoping that one human could save them from a galaxy that had already decided they were worthless. Overseer Paulith had 6 arms and no patience for nonsense. The Vorini administrator sat behind a curved desk covered in holographic screens. Each arm worked on a different task, filing reports, checking schedules, reviewing cargo manifests, and now apparently questioning humans about missing shipments. Davy stood in front of the desk trying to look calm. His heart was beating too fast. His palms were sweating. He hoped none of it showed on his face. Cargo container 774, Paulith said without looking up. Destination was recycling furnace C7. It never arrived. Tracking shows it was rerouted to holding bay 7C. 2 of the administrator's eyes focused on Davy. You were the only worker in that section last night. I must have made an error, Davy said. He had practiced this lie all morning. I was tired, double shift. The controls can be confusing when you are exhausted. Paulith's other 4 eyes joined the first 2. All 6 stared at Davy. You have worked cargo for 7 years. You have never made a routing error before. First time for everything. Davy tried to smile. It felt wrong on his face. The Vorini studied him for a long moment. Then 2 arms returned to other tasks. Very well. I will mark this as a fatigue-related incident, but I am assigning Constable Rennick to investigate. Standard procedure for cargo irregularities. Davy's stomach tightened. Rennick. Of all the security officers on the station, it had to be Rennick. Is that a problem? Paulith asked. No, no problem at all. Davy left the administrator's office and walked straight to holding bay 7C. He needed to warn the synthetics. He needed to figure out what to do next. The bay was quiet when he arrived. The 7 synthetics had arranged themselves in a corner, partially hidden behind old equipment. Briggs stood near the door like a guard. Polly was listening to something on an internal frequency. The others huddled together. We have a problem, Davy said. They are sending someone to investigate. We heard, Polly said. Security channels are easy to monitor. Constable Rennick has been assigned to the case. Lyra noticed the change in Davy's expression. You know this person? Yes, Davy sat down heavily on a crate. We served together on a freight liner years ago. He is a good man, honest, fair, but he takes his job seriously. Briggs flexed his construction arms. If he finds us, we fight. No, Davy shook his head firmly. No fighting. That would only prove what everyone already thinks about synthetics, that you are dangerous, that you need to be controlled and recycled. Then what do we do? Nomi asked. Her childcare programming made her voice sound small and worried. I do not know yet. I am still thinking. Oris, the medical assistant, moved closer to Lyra. Her power cells are degrading, she reported. Caretaker units were built for long service, but she has been running for 11 years without maintenance. She needs proper repairs. I am fine, Lyra said softly. You are not fine. Your core temperature is too high and your processing speed is dropping. Davy looked at Lyra. She did seem slower than before. Her movements were careful, like someone saving energy. Can you fix her? Not with what we have here, Aura said. I would need medical tools and replacement parts. Another problem, another thing Davy could not solve. A sound came from outside the bay, footsteps coming closer. Everyone froze. The door opened. A man in a security uniform stepped inside. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with gray at his temples and tired lines around his eyes. His hand rested on his sidearm, but he did not draw it. Constable Rennick looked at Davy. Then he looked at the 7 synthetics huddled in the corner. Well, he said quietly, I think I found my missing cargo. Briggs stepped forward, his massive form blocking the others. If you try to take us, will stop you. Rennick did not move. I am sure you could. Construction class, right? I have seen what those arms can do. He looked back at Davy. You want to explain this? Davy stood up. They were going to be melted down while they were still awake, while they could still think and feel. That is standard procedure for decommissioned units. Standard procedure is wrong. Rennick was silent for a moment. His eyes moved across the group of synthetics. Polly translating his body language in quiet whispers, Nomi hiding behind Oris, Kel and Strand watching him carefully, Lyra standing with quiet dignity despite her failing systems. You pulled me out of a decompression accident once, Rennick said finally. Held my wound closed for 20 minutes until the medics arrived. I never properly thanked you for that. You do not owe me anything. Maybe not, Rennick took a deep breath, but I owe myself the chance to make the right choice for once. He stepped back toward the door. I am going to file my report now, he said. It will say that I investigated the cargo irregularity and found nothing suspicious, just a routing error caused by fatigue. He paused. That should buy you a few days, maybe a week. After that, someone else will come looking. Why, Davy asked. Why are you helping us? Rennick looked at Lyra, at her kind face and her dimming eyes. Because I have a daughter, he said, and when she was little, a synthetic teacher spent 3 years helping her learn to read. That teacher got recycled last month. I saw the notice in the system. His voice dropped. I never thanked her either. He turned and walked out without another word. Davy let out a breath he did not know he was holding. They had time, not much, but enough to make a plan. Rennick came back the next night with a bag full of power cells and a map of the station. Davy met him at the door of holding Bay 7C. Neither man spoke at first. There was too much to say and not enough words to say it. These are from the evidence locker, Rennick finally said, holding up the bag. Old cases, no one will miss them. You could lose your badge for this. I could lose more than that. Rennick pushed past him into the bay. But I spent all day thinking about what you said, about them being awake when they burn, about them being scared. The synthetics were waiting. Briggs had stopped being hostile after Rennick's first visit. Now he just watched the constable with careful attention. Oris took the power cells immediately. These will help Lyra, not perfect, but better than nothing. Lyra sat against the wall, her blue eyes dim. You did not have to do this, she said to Rennick. Yes, I did. He spread the map on the floor. Now listen, we do not have much time. Paulith is getting suspicious. The recycling facility filed a complaint about their missing cargo, and I heard through channels that investigators from the Hollow Council are coming. When? Davy asked. 3 days, maybe 4. Polly processed this information. Not enough time to find new contracts for all of us, not enough time to appeal to any legal authority. Our options are extremely limited. There is one option, Kel said. The mining surveyor had been quiet until now. Running. Strand, the pilot unit, leaned forward. Running where? Every station and colony in this sector follows Hollow Council law. We would be hunted wherever we went. Not everywhere, Kel pointed at the map. I have survey data from 200 worlds, including places that are not on any official chart. There are rumors of a settlement in the Quiet Reach, a place where synthetics have gathered. Rumors are not facts, Polly said. No, but rumors are all we have. Davy studied the map. The Quiet Reach was a region of empty space far from any major trade routes. No stations, no colonies, no law. How would we even get there? He asked. Strand traced a path with his finger. There is a decommissioned cargo shuttle in Hangar 19D. I noticed it during our transfer. Old model, but the engines looked functional. If someone could get us to that shuttle, I could fly it. I know that shuttle, Rennick said. It has been sitting there for 2 years, listed as awaiting disposal but never actually disposed of. Bureaucracy at its finest. So we steal a shuttle, Briggs said, and fly into unknown space based on rumors. Yes, Davy said, that is exactly what we do. Nomi, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. But what about you? You and Constable Rennick. If we run, you will be blamed. Davy and Rennick looked at each other. I have been thinking about that, Rennick said slowly. If we stay behind, we go to prison, probably for a long time, interfering with recycling protocols, aiding fugitive property. The charges would be serious. You are not property, Davy said firmly. None of. You are property. The law says otherwise. Then the law is wrong. Lyra had been listening quietly as Oris worked on her power systems. Now she stood up, moving better than before. You could come with us, both of you. The idea hung in the air. Leave the station, Rennick said. Leave my job, my life. What life? Davy asked. Working double shifts in a cargo bay until I am too old to lift anything. Going home to an empty room every night. Pretending that everything is fine while the galaxy throws away anyone it does not need anymore. Rennick did not answer. Davy continued. I have been here for 7 years. I have no family on this station, no real friends except you, nothing holding me here except habit. I have a daughter, Rennick said quietly. She is grown. She has her own life on another world. When was the last time you actually saw her? Rennick's jaw tightened. 2 years ago. Would she want you to go to prison for doing the right thing, or would she want you to keep doing the right thing somewhere else? The constable stood very still for a long moment. The synthetics watched him. Everything depended on his answer. Finally, Rennick reached up and unpinned his badge. He looked at it, turning it over in his hands. 15 years of service, countless shifts, a whole career reduced to a small piece of metal. He put the badge in his pocket. All right, he said, I am in. Briggs made a sound that might have been surprise. You would give up everything for us. I am not giving up anything. I am finally doing something that matters. Rennick picked up the map. Now let us figure out how to get 8 people and 7 synthetics to Hangar 19D without being seen. Polly's eyes flickered as she processed calculations. I have been monitoring security patrol patterns. There is a window tomorrow night. 90 minutes where the maintenance corridors between here and the hangar are mostly unguarded. 90 minutes is not much time, Strand said. Then we move fast. Davy looked around at the group. 2 humans, 7 synthetics, all of them about to become fugitives. Everyone get ready, tomorrow night we run. Lyra touched his arm. Her fingers were cold but gentle. Thank you, she said, for everything. Davy covered her hand with his own. Do not thank me yet, we still have to make it out alive. The maintenance corridors were dark and narrow, built for machines rather. Then people. Davy led the way with a small light attached to his wrist. Behind him came Lyra, then Oris, then Nomi. Kel and Polly moved in the middle of the group. Strand followed them, memorizing the route to the hangar. Briggs brought up the rear, his massive frame barely fitting through the tight spaces. Rennick walked beside him, watching for security patrols. No one spoke. Every sound seemed too loud. Every footstep echoed off the metal walls. Polly had calculated their window perfectly. 90 minutes to cross half the station without being seen. They had already used 30. Turn left ahead, Polly whispered. Then down 2 levels, the hangar is close. Davy turned left and found a ladder leading down. He climbed quickly and helped the others follow. Nomi moved slowly, her childcare programming not designed for this kind of physical stress. Briggs had to squeeze through the opening, his construction arms scraping against the sides. 45 minutes gone. They reached a long corridor that ran parallel to the outer hull. Through small windows, they could see stars and the distant glow of passing ships. The station hummed around them, alive with power and motion. Wait, Rennick held up his hand. Everyone froze. Footsteps ahead, a security patrol moving through a cross corridor. The group pressed against the walls, hiding in shadows. Davy held his breath. The footsteps grew louder, then softer, then faded away completely. 50 minutes gone. They started moving again, faster now. The hangar was just ahead. Kel's mapping data showed them every turn, every junction, every possible obstacle. Finally, they reached a heavy door marked Hangar 19D, decommissioned equipment. Rennick used his access code. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the hangar was dusty and forgotten. Old equipment sat in piles against the walls. Broken loaders and damaged containers filled the corners, and there in the center of the space was the shuttle. It was old, battered, covered in a layer of grime, but Strand walked around it with growing excitement in his eyes. Engines are intact, he reported. Fuel cells are at 40%. Navigation systems will need rebooting, but she can fly. How long to get her ready? Davy asked. 15 minutes, maybe 20. 60 minutes gone. Everyone started working. Strand climbed into the cockpit and began activating systems. Oris checked the medical. Supplies on board. Kel programmed coordinates into the navigation computer. The others loaded the few supplies they had managed to gather. Davy and Rennick stood by the hangar door, watching for trouble. Nervous, Rennick asked. Terrified, Davy admitted. You? Same. The shuttle's engines hummed to life. A good sound, a hopeful sound. Then the hangar door behind them opened. Overseer Paulith stood in the doorway. 6 arms, 6 eyes, all of them focused on the scene before him. Behind the Vorini administrator stood 4 station security officers. Well, Paulith said, this explains many things. Davy stepped forward, putting himself between the administrator and the shuttle. We are leaving. Do not try to stop us. Leaving, 3 of Paulith's arms gestured at the synthetics loading the shuttle. With stolen property, in a stolen vessel, after falsifying cargo records and corrupting a security officer. Rennick moved to stand beside Davy. They are not property, they are people. The law disagrees. Then the law is wrong. Paulith's eyes narrowed. The Vorini was clearly frustrated. I have followed every rule, every regulation, every protocol. For 40 years I have maintained order on this station, and you come along and throw it all away. For what? For machines that pretend to have feelings. Lyra stepped out from behind Davy. Her blue eyes were steady and clear. May I speak? She asked. Paulith looked at her for a long moment, then nodded once. I worked in a hospital for 11 years, Lyra said. I held the hands of 93 patients as they died. I learned their names. I listened to their stories. I cried when they were gone. She paused. You say I was pretending. You say my feelings are not real, but those patients believed I cared about them. Their families thanked me for being there. Were they all wrong? Were they all fooled? The Vorini administrator did not answer. I do not want to die, Lyra continued. Is that so hard to understand? I am afraid. I want to live. I want to keep helping people if anyone will let me. That is not a simulation. That is who I am. Paulith was very still. The security officers behind him shifted uncomfortably. Rennick reached into his pocket and pulled out his badge. He placed it on the ground. I am resigning, he said. Effective immediately, that shuttle belongs to a private citizen and is departing legally. One of... Paulith's eyes twitched. That is not how any of this works. Maybe not, but it is how it should work. 75 minutes gone. The shuttle engines were fully powered now. Strand called from the cockpit. We are ready to go. Paulith looked at the shuttle, at the synthetics on the ramp, at the two humans standing in front of him. Something flickered in the administrator's expression, something that might have been doubt. Then Paulith turned around. This hangar is empty. I see nothing here. We are leaving. The security officers looked confused but followed their overseer out. The door closed behind them. Davy let out a breath. His legs were shaking. Come on, Rennick said, before he changes his mind. They ran to the shuttle. The ramp closed. Strand lifted off. The hangar doors opened automatically as they approached. And then they were in space, leaving the station behind, flying toward the unknown. 88 minutes. They had made it. 2 weeks in deep space felt like 2 years. The shuttle was not built for comfort. 9 bodies shared a space meant for cargo. They slept in shifts. They ate the same ration packs over and over. The recycled air tasted stale and old. But nobody complained. They were alive, they were free, that was enough. Strand kept the ship moving toward the coordinates Kell had provided. The quiet reach, a region of empty space where no government held power, where anything might be waiting. Or nothing at all. Signal ahead, Polly announced on the 14th day. Very faint, repeating pattern, definitely artificial. Davy moved to the cockpit and looked over Strand's shoulder. On the scanner, a small cluster of objects appeared. They were far away, but getting closer with each passing hour. Asteroids, Kell said, studying the readings. Hollowed out, connected by tunnels. There are life signs, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Synthetic life signs? Rennick asked. Mostly, but some organic too. Lyra stood up from her seat, her blue eyes bright with something that looked like hope. It is real. The rumors were true. As they approached, the settlement came into view. A cluster of asteroids hung in the darkness, connected by pressurized tubes. Lights glowed from windows cut into the rock. Small ships moved between the floating pieces. Gardens filled with artificial sunlight could be seen through transparent domes. It was a city built in the emptiness of space, built by those who had nowhere else to go. A voice crackled over the radio. Unknown vessel, identify yourself and state your purpose. Davy took the communicator. We are refugees, 7 synthetics and 2 humans. We escaped from Relay Station Theta 9. We are looking for sanctuary. A long pause, then a different voice, older, calmer. Synthetics fleeing recycling. Yes. Another pause, and the humans. Davy looked at Rennick, at Lyra, at all of them. We are with them, he said simply. We could not let them die. The pause was longer this time. Then the voice returned, warm now instead of cautious. You are welcome here. Follow the beacon to Docking Bay 7. Someone will meet you. The shuttle landed in a cavern carved from asteroid rock. Lights hung from the ceiling. Other ships rested in neat rows. A small crowd had gathered to watch them arrive. They were synthetics, dozens of them, different models, different designs. Some looked almost human, others looked like nothing Davy had ever seen before. An older synthetic stepped forward. Her frame was elegant but worn. Her eyes held a wisdom that came from many years of existence. She smiled when she saw Lyra emerge from the shuttle. Welcome to the quiet reach, she said. I am Designation Myra. I help coordinate things here. Lyra looked around at the cavern, at the waiting synthetics, at the lights and tunnels leading deeper into the asteroid. Tears formed in her eyes. Artificial tears, but real emotion. "We thought this place was just a story," she said. "Most good things start as stories." Myra gestured for them to follow. "Come, let me show you what we have built." They walked through tunnels filled with activity, workshops where synthetics repaired each other, schools where younger units learned new skills, gardens where food grew under bright lights, medical bays where worn-out parts were replaced and damaged systems were healed. "We have been here for 32 years, Myra explained. "We started with 12 refugees, now we are over 4,000, synthetics from every corner of the galaxy, cast off, discarded, forgotten." "And the organics?" Rennick asked. "Some arrive like you did, fleeing punishment for helping us. Others came as friends or partners. We do not turn anyone away." Myra looked at Davy. "You are the first organics to arrive in almost a year. Most who find us come as hunters." "Hunters?" "Bounty collectors, people who track escaped synthetics for profit. We have had to fight them off many times." Davy felt his stomach tighten. "Will they come for us?" "Eventually, they always do," Myra smiled. "But we are ready for them, and now we have 2 more defenders." The days that followed were filled with new beginnings. Lyra found work in the medical bay, helping other synthetics with damaged systems. Her gentle voice and careful hands were exactly what was needed. Briggs joined the construction teams, building new sections of the settlement. His massive arms were perfect for the heavy work. Nomi started a small school for the few synthetic children who existed. Units designed to grow and learn, like organic children. She taught them songs and stories and how to be kind. Oris performed surgeries again. Kel mapped the asteroid fields for resources. Polly translated for synthetics who spoke different languages. Strand trained new pilots for the small fleet of ships. And Davy and Rennick, they fixed up the old shuttle, made it faster and stronger. Then they started flying missions back to stations and colonies, looking for other synthetics in danger. Looking for more crates marked machines only. 1 month after arriving, Davy stood on a loading dock in a distant port. Another crate sat before him. Another group of synthetics waited inside, scheduled for destruction. Lyra stood beside him. She had insisted on coming. Her systems were fully repaired now, her blue eyes bright and steady. Davy opened the crate. 3 synthetics looked up at him with fear and confusion in their eyes. Lyra knelt down and spoke softly. "It is all right, you are safe now." Davy reached out his hand. "Welcome to the family." The 3 synthetics climbed out of the crate. One of them, a small unit with a young face, looked up at Davy. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you help us?" Davy smiled. It was the same question they always asked. And he always gave the same answer. "Because someone should."